Welcome back everyone. Today there's even more spoilers for War of the Sparks. We're just gonna jump into it. There's not gonna be no arena gameplay today, but don't worry, we're gonna play more arena tomorrow. Let's just enjoy these spoilers, shall we? So, the first card then, Uncrop Invader. 2 colors and 1 red. As long as it's your turn, Uncrop Invader has first strike. Well, it's a horrible body it's on. 1 color, sacrifice another creature, Uncrop Invader gets +2/+0 until end of turn. No, this is just for limited. Next card. Arcanist der Schreckens Horde. Kreatur, Zombie, Zauberer. This is the German Overlord, if you wondered. I've already checked what this guy does. I probably would have understood because German is very similar to English, I think. But here's what it does. Whenever you attack in with it, you can play a instant or sorcery from your graveyard equal to its power. If you do, you exile it. You don't return it to your graveyard. So it's actually pretty strong. Actually amazingly strong. I think it's even better. I'm not 100% sure because you need to attack in with it. It also has trample. I didn't remember that. It has trample, but I think it's pretty amazing in Legacy. It's just me, or maybe it's too slow that you need to attack in. But the thing is, there's so much good stuff that you can play for 1 mana in Legacy. I mean, you can have Lightning Bolt, and Brainstorm, and Tragic Slip, or whatever. You can have all the removals in the world. And this guy, every turn he attacks in and return one of your amazing spells, just seems bonkers to me. I mean, put this guy in something like Legacy, what's it called? Let's call it the 3/2 flyer for 1 blue mana. I don't remember. Delver, that's what it's called. What is it, a Delver deck? Seems amazing in a Delver deck. Maybe I'm just overblowing this guy. In standard though, there's a lot of cards still. I mean, you can have things like, you could of course buff this guy and get something bigger in your graveyard, but I don't know that that's necessarily what you want to do. I think you can just gain value, have a couple of opts and a couple of shocks or something in your graveyard, or maybe it could go well with green also, the +3/+3. Well, this is a strong card. It's a very strong card. The fact that I even mentioned that you could play it in Legacy means that, well, it's a good card. It's a very good card. 2 mana, 1/3, good body, has a very good ability that you can cost, you know, whenever it attacks in, you can just, if you have, as long as you have removal, cheap removal in your graveyard, you can just kill everything. That is just infinite removal in this guy as long as you have so you have a lot of 1-drops in your graveyard. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with all the spectacle, or maybe fortunately I should say, because else it would probably be too good to work with all the spectacle cards. It does not though, even though it's a zombie wizard. Zauberer is a wizard in German, funnily enough. Yeah, solid guy. Will definitely see play. I wonder in what formats, if it will see play in Modern and Legacy. We'll see. But I'm very excited to play with this guy. Very excited. Next card. Dreadhorde Butcher. A black and a red. Haste. When Dreadhorde Butcher deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, put a +1/+1 counter on Dreadhorde Butcher. It's gonna grow. As long as you can keep the board clear for this guy, it's just gonna grow indefinitely. So that's very good. When Dreadhorde Butcher dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. So this is just another card that you want an exile removal against. Something like a Lava Coil or a Cry of the Carnarium or something to deal with him. He is very strong though. And also, a lot of people, because I saw this card on the Reddit, and a lot of people pointed out that there's a turn 3 kill combo that you can play. You can play Dreadhorde Butcher turn 2, attack in, gain a counter next turn, attack in, and put Collision Colossus on this guy so that he gets +4/+2, which makes him a 6/2, and then you can thud him so that you attack in for 6, thud for 6, and then he deals damage when he dies equal to its power, which is another 6. So you deal 18 plus the 2 from the first time you attacked in, so you deal 20 damage. So that's pretty insane if you can get that off. I mean, I guess a Gates deck you probably can get that off because they won't have anything. I mean, they have 2 lands. They have 1 tapped land and 1 untapped land. And you come in with a Dreadhorde Butcher and just slaughter them. So it might even be you. The only problem with that combo is that Thud is not such a great card without the Dreadhorde Butcher. Maybe you can run it with... There are some cards which are, you know, playable with Thud. I guess you could do Rekindling Phoenix, for instance, because you can just get it back. What else is there? There's not too much. Maybe there's some other card that's very, very Thud. Galta. Maybe, I don't know. So if you can make a Thud deck, I don't know how competitive it would be, but it will definitely be very, very good against certain decks which are very slow, like the Gates deck, for instance. I don't know if the Gates deck will be a thing. It probably will after the... because it's... yeah, it's solid. I think still that the Gates deck is solid. I personally like my version of the Gates deck, but, you know... opinions may vary on that. Go on to the next card. Eternal Taskmaster. 1 colorless and 1 black. Eternal Taskmaster enters the battlefield tapped. When Eternal Taskmaster attacks, you may pay 2 colorless and 1 black. If you do, return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. It's a tricky pickle, this guy. I mean, it's a 2/3/4/2, so it's decent stats. There's that. Comes into play tapped, has historically always been worse. I mean, you think of it, it's not such a big deal, but it is such a big deal that it goes into play tapped. It's horrible. Then whenever it attacks, you may pay 3. You only return it to your hand, which is horrible. We only have a creature for 3 mana, which returns something into play from a graveyard. I guess the redeeming factor of this guy is that you can actually play it for 2. So ideally, what I think you want to do with this guy is have something like very cheap cards that you can return, which are very useful. Something like Dauntless Bodyguard, for instance. You have Dauntless Bodyguard, turn 1, turn 2 Eternal Taskmaster, turn 3 you maybe attack in with your creature and maybe it dies or something, and turn 3 you can just return it back with Eternal Taskmaster and protect Eternal Taskmaster. And you can just keep returning it again and again and protect the Taskmaster. Something like that. Something very cheap. Something for 1 mana or something that you return from a graveyard. Otherwise, I don't really see this guy working. Because if the creature costs a lot, I mean, returning something for 3, probably not gonna work out too great. Sure, something like returning a what's it called? Hydroid Crassus would be amazing. But then we're looking for the ultra late game anyway, so then there's better alternatives. Just find finality is just better. If you go for a late game card to do this, to get this effect. So very, very special deck which brews around this. Then it could work. But the mana cost is so high. 3 mana to just return something and then you need to pay for it. It's very, very expensive. So I don't know. We'll see about that. Here is a good card though. Actually. The Lost. Is that a fast but lost? Then he returned. I don't know. I have no idea what FLTHPHTHP stands for. Anyways, he's a homunculus. There's not many homunculus in the game. When FLTHPHTHP enters the battlefield, draw a card. If it entered the battle... Wow, this will be annoying. Like people... when people in Paper Magic have to say the names of the cards. I target... and your opponent's like, I didn't catch that. Please, judge. Judge, come here. He did not name the right card. Or like, yeah, if you have like Pithing Needle. It doesn't work with this, but you know, like some card like that. You have to name it. And someone's gonna be such a douchebag, like, you didn't name. You didn't say it in the right way. You didn't name the right card. When FLTHPHTHP enters the battlefield, you draw a card. If it enters the battlefield from your library or was cast from your library, draw 2 cards instead. So this is like obvious combo with the arc bow, I guess.
When FLTHP becomes the target of a spell, shuffle FLTHP into its owner's library. I mean, this is a solid card. 2 mana, you draw a card, so you don't lose anything. You have a blocker out. And if someone should ever target it, you just get it back into your library. You probably only want one of this ever. ever in your deck. But it's solid. Solid one-off. I hope this won't be the new win code for, for the Esper control decks. That would be so horrible. They win with FLTHP. Takes 20 turns to kill someone. Yeah, probably not. It's a solid card. It's good. I don't know that the only interaction I can see, you know, playing it from your library is the arc bow. The only reasonable interaction, that is. If you have something like a Simic list, a lot of small creatures, you play arc bow anyways, then FLTHP fits perfectly into that deck. It's a solid card. It has no downside. I mean, there's already a card like this. There's the Vampire, which costs 1 black and 1 colorless, and that's decently good card. It sees, you know, play from time to time because it's such great value. And this is just even better because you don't lose the life, and it even has other relevant abilities. It shuffles itself back, which is good. If you play it from your library, which, you know, arguably is very hard to do, but if you manage to do it, pretty amazing with the arc bow. Yeah. Moving on to the next card. Gleaming Overseer. 1 colorless, 1 blue, 1 black. When Gleaming Overseer enters the battlefield, amass 1. Okay, amass 1. These cards are a little bit tricky to evaluate. So this is like you get a 1/1 and a 1/4. And then zombie tokens you control have hexproof and menace. So the amass token has menace and hexproof. You get a 1/1 hexproof, and you get a 1 for body, and the 1/1 also has menace, and maybe it will see play. The thing is, the body is good. It's a 1/4 body, so if you think about most decks that you're up against, it's going to block most things. If you're up against mono white, it's going to be able to block. If you're up against mono red, it's going to be able to block even their creature, what's it called? One which deals 1 damage. You know what I'm talking about. 1 damage everything. Yeah, that card. Unfortunately, that card will, though, kill the token, so that's not so good. Because you have to think about, in Magic, you have to think about when these cards come out. If you play on curve, what else is on your opponent's side of the board? Because you don't play your cards in a vacuum, you're playing against an opponent, so you have to think, what does my opponent have at turn 3 out? So they might have a 3/3 first striker, and this works against that. They might have a 3/3 called Benalish Marshal or something. Could be out on the board already. And this can block that. It's not amazing. Against the Benalish Marshal, you're probably losing on board then, but you could maybe next turn go for the Amass Sweeper and clear up the board. So yeah, this might see play in an Amass deck, but I have the sneaking suspicion that we're gonna see better Amass cards. I think this is good, but we're probably gonna see better. We already have 2 really, really good Amass cards, and we're probably gonna see more, I think. So probably not. Next card. Grim Initiate. 1 red. First strike. When Grim Initiate dies, amass 1. Ooh, this is pretty good, actually. This is pretty good. Pretty good. Because the thing is, it has first strike, which is very good. If you think about what could be on the board here. So if you're up against mono white, most of their creatures that come into play turn 1 have 1 toughness. This is 0/3 that they could have, which he can't kill. But everything else, he will just rip through. If you're up against mono red, if it's a Viashino Pyromancer or if it's a Fanatical Firebrand, you'll be able to eat those up. He won't be able to eat up the G2 Lava Runner. I mean, he's solid. This guy is solid. And then amass 1.
We already have a creature, a white creature like this, which when it dies you get another 1/1. But this is a mass, which is better because this is probably used in a mass deck. So yeah, this might see play actually. Solid card. I don't know how the metagame is gonna be after this comes in. If there's gonna be all these small creatures running around. But if there are small creatures running around, then this guy is a winner, I would say. Next card. Chongyun, Wildcrafter. 2 colors and 1 green. Yeah, this was the guy I couldn't read because it was Chinese. I can read a little bit of Japanese, but Chinese... that's difficult. A little bit difficult. Legendary Planeswalker, Chongyun. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has add 1 mana of any color. It costs 3, okay. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Yeah, so this -1 is pretty scheiss. If you pardon my German. It's not very good. Hadana's Climb is just better in that case, because it's very much harder to remove. But the ability to give creatures you control a +1/+1 counter on it, the ability to add mana, is pretty good. It's actually pretty good. Because there's a lot of creatures which come into play with +1/+1 counters on them now. We have all the explorers, we have all the amass creatures. So if you can get something like for instance, a mass creature turn 1 or something, and then something on turn 2, maybe a mass enchantment or something on turn 2, and then turn 3 Chongyun, then tap, because this then becomes a 1 mana play, because you can tap both your creatures that you have. Yeah. Yeah, if you play a deck where everything has explore and amass, and this might work. This might ramp you into something. I don't know exactly what you want to ramp into, but it might be something. Some kind of ramp deck could work. It's probably going to be fringe though. Now, it seems like I'm talking about a very competitive deck. I'm not. This is more going to be, I think, like a very special deck. Maybe not top tier, but still, you know, somewhat competitive and somewhat fun deck. Ramp deck, something like that. Next card. Karn's Bastion. Add 1 colorless or 4 mana proliferate. Well, it is 1 colorless. There's few decks that could play this card, because it's every deck now, because we have such good lands, want to play multiple colors, because it's probably more valuable than having a free proliferate from time to time. I don't know about this. If it would have been proliferate, then proliferate again, I would be on board with this card. I don't know. It's probably meant to be used in something like, it even says Karn's Bastion, something like with Karn, which doesn't care about colors, and then like treasure maps, we can get counters on them, and something else. So if everything has relevant, I don't think the proliferate is super good with creatures with +1/+1 counters on. I don't think putting 1 more +1 counter is going to change anything. I mean, most games, if you think about it, creatures stick around like 1 or 2 turns. Most of them just get killed immediately. It's just a dream scenario. It's a Timmy dream where you just proliferate 5 turns in a row and have you know, unstoppable armor. That's never gonna happen. So I think this is more for other counters, like treasure counters, loyalty counters, or some other type of counters. But then I'm a little bit sad that it's a rare card, because it's such a, you know, probably gonna be very rarely played, so it would have been much better in the uncommon slot, I feel. Next card. Mo, Loyal Companion. Love the tails there. A little Naruto callback, maybe. All these tails. The 3 tails dog. Wow, he's buff though. It's like... He's like... He's like buff. That's what I'm trying to say. Legendary creature Hound. I haven't seen many hounds. It's a Hound of Konda. Trample Vigilance. If 1 or more +1 counters would be put on Mo, Loyal Companion, that many +1, +2, +1 counters are put on it instead. This is a very awkward way of saying that double all the +1 counters put on it. It would be a very much easier way to say this, but sure. The body is horrible. It's a 3/3 trample vigilance for 4. That is the most removal. You're probably not gonna have a +1, something that puts a +1/+1 counter on it immediately, so it's probably just gonna die. I think this is made more for a thematic, maybe EDH deck. Because the thing is, if you think about 4 mana, this is probably made for something like Simic or something that can put, you know, Hadana's Climb, put counters on and stuff like that. But the thing is, in Simic decks, they struggle right now, even if they play a Prime Speaker Vanifor, or if they play a what's its face, the 4 mana creature which is a birthing pod. Those cards don't even work right now, and they're super strong when you think about how much value you can actually extract from them to get a good turn, but you never get that good turn. I think if you have to if you have a card for 4 mana, it needs to provide value immediately, or the effect needs to be game winning, and I don't really feel that its effect is game winning, so for me it's a no. Even though I love the art and everything. Next card. Naga Eternal. I was gonna spend too much time on Naga Eternal. It will be eternally bad, that 3/2. Neb. Dread Hoard Champion. 2 colorless, 2 red. Trample. A zombie Minotaur warrior. Wow, they really wanted all those creature types. You're hardly able to see that this is a Minotaur, but sure. Very long nose, it seems like. When Neheb Dreadhorde Champion deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you may discard any number of cards. If you do, draw that many cards and add that much red mana. Until end of turn, you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Everyone is going to compare this probably to Rekindling Phoenix, another 4-drop for the same mana, which in 99% of the decks is going to be just better than Neheb Dreadhorde Champion. Much because it's a 5/4. So it dies to Lava Coil, dies to everything, all the black removal, all the white removal. Yeah, I mean, Shock and Lightning Strike doesn't kill it. I guess there's that. But except for that, no. There's, of course, the case for this is if you combo it with something. Like, if you get a hit in, you kind of almost win. Like, for instance, let's say you play this guy in big red, and you have something like, what's called the 8 mana... oh, it's called an 8 mana sorcery or something. You get to play, you exile the top 7 cards of your library and you get to play them for free or something like that. Like something extreme, if you combo it with something extreme. So that the mana, you know, if you combo it, you almost win, kind of thing. If you do that, then sure. If you just do it, play this guy because he has nice stats, then it's probably not gonna work for you. Probably better off with Rekindling Phoenix. But if you you build around him, it's probably going to be a little bit gimmicky, but you might get something going there, I think. Next card. Storeb. Devkarin Lich. Okay. 1 colorless, 2 black, and 1 green. Wow, that looks like the Lich from Jund. Oh, I remember that Lich. Very, very good Lich. It was like black and green, a 2/2, and you could do something. You could pay for life to make it a 4/4 or something. It was very, very good. Trample. Whenever Storeb Devkarin Lich deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, return to your hand target creature or planeswalker card in your graveyard that wasn't put there this combat. Wow, a complicated thing there. Complicated text. Well, this guy is pretty much in the same seat as our last subject. The 5/4, which needs to attack in to do something. Unless you have a really good idea why you're playing Storeb Devkarin Lich, I don't think this guy's gonna work out at all. Dies to all the removal. His effect is not game winning, unless you... Not even game winning if you combo it. I mean, just return it. If it would be returned to the battlefield, that would be pretty strong. As it stands, no. No, I don't see this guy. I think the red guy is honestly even better than this guy. This is just... No.
Next card. Totally Lost. 4 colors and 1 blue. Put target non-land permanent on top of its owner's library. Just for limited. Next card. Oh! We've done them all! Isn't that something, huh? Well, this is going to be it for today. See you tomorrow with more arena gameplay.